Okay, so overreaction or proper reaction? Nico Iamaleava was the best quarterback in America on Saturday against Chattanooga. Booger actually said this several times. That's why I wanted to be able to bring this up. I'll say it's a slight overreaction just because I think there's a ceiling when he's getting to face an FCS team, and there are others like that aren't necessarily given that kind of time. But I encourage anyone, anyone who maybe you got other things going on. It was a 12:45 start. That weird 12:45 start this year is going to throw everybody off at least once. But I would encourage everyone to go look at the throws that he's making, how effortless it looks, how on target, how in stride it is, how comfortable he is with the Josh Heupel offense in year two. It's so easy to understand why people are amazed by this guy. It really is. And I try and refrain from being the, oh my God, look what he did against not impressive competition. So I am trying to hold myself back as a Nico believer, but he can put that football anywhere. The up tempo is there. The way that he sees the field is so evident. Even when he's running between the tackles and he's like navigating around at 6'6", he just looks like he has such a feel for the game that I don't think Josh Heupel taught him that. I think Josh Heupel looked at it and said, that guy is worth going to war against the NCAA to be able to get in our program. And you know what? I think he's right. I really do. I love Nico. I know I'm not alone. I will say Cam Ward probably deserves the nod in the who was the most impressive quarterback in America because of the surroundings, obviously. But man, Nico looked the part, and anybody that was of the belief that the spring game showing, the underwhelming spring game showing, was a sign that he was going to be in trouble. I hoped you watched yesterday and felt better about that take, because that take did not make sense to me. It really didn't. And I'm not saying that means he's destined to be Peyton Manning, but dude looks good. Dude looks really freaking good. And Dylan Sampson, by the way, too. Shout out Dylan Sampson. Guy's awesome. All bang the drum team member. Okay, overreaction or proper reaction? South Carolina's offense was the most concerning SEC unit in week one. I'm going to say proper reaction. I am. You could go with Florida's defense here, but in A&M's offense, that's definitely a candidate. How could it not be? But I would argue that both of those units struggled against groups that we expect to be really good. So I'll give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt for that. South Carolina's offense struggled against Old Dominion. At home. Lenora Sellers did not get a whole lot of help, but really were not a lot of high percentage looks that were schemed open from him, from Dow Loggins. He has a ways to go as a schemer. I talked about how much I liked what he did as a quarterback developer with Spencer Rattler. And to me, that's why he earned the right to be able to kind of withstand some of that criticism. But they are just not getting these chunk plays that they need to get, because I don't think they're going to be this team that, is having these like 4 or 5 minute drives where they just go downfield and they just lean on you. I don't think they have that identity to be able to do that. I think they need the chunk plays badly. And that's just not really been there. I mean, Sellers, he didn't really have a go-to guy in the passing game at all. And South Carolina pretty much resorted to running the football to survive. That's not the type of game that you want to run the football that much. Not much running room for Sellers, for Rocket. Old Dominion got strip sacked twice, backed up in their own end zone, like within their own 10-yard line, which was the difference in the game. South Carolina had to actually put together stops late to be able to come out with a win. Not great that Beamer is already busting out the fakes with Kai Kroger, who had a touchdown pass called off because of a penalty. Can't really say if you're a South Carolina fan, you know what, the game plan was really basic. I don't know, man. I think they wanted to get Lenora Sellers some actual reps and realized they didn't really have a lot of stuff in the offensive playbook that they felt particularly good about. That was pretty concerning. It was. Maybe not quite as alarming as what we saw from them in the opener last year against UNC. Maybe better days are ahead. It's still obviously a very, very young quarterback who had, up until yesterday, never completed a pass against FBS competition. But still, I watched that and went, man, I was hoping for more. I was hoping for more from this offensive line, and they did not necessarily have that. Now you got to go to Lexington, face a Mark Stoops defense, which, Shane Beamer has had some success against them, obviously in the last couple of years, but still, that's going to be a tough task for an offense that I don't know that they figured out a ton in week one. Overreaction or proper reaction, Ryan Williams will only score a touchdown every time he touches the ball. Slight overreaction? Slight. 2 catches, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, 69.5 yards per catch. That's pretty good. Not bad for a 17-year-old kid. Ryan Williams definitely wins the Jake Bentley Award for weekly reminders that he should still be in high school. He should be at prom. Not going to get sick of that. Probably not going to have many ICC defenses that take the Western Kentucky approach of just forgetting to cover him. That first play was definitely mix up in the secondary. Credit Jalen Milroe, credit Williams for being able to take advantage of that. It was an on-target throw, wide open receiver. The second TD, though, I really liked because I thought that the first throw was a lot of what we saw last year from Milroe, where it's just like, all right, chug it deep. You got a big radius to be able to hit this guy. But that second throw, where if you actually watch the replay and see kind of Milroe go through his progression, maybe he was looking off a safety, but whatever the case, he throws it on a line, 25 yards downfield. And the area that he's been scrutinized the most is obviously 11 to 20 yards. That's where I think his accuracy percentage was like 52% or something like that. That's where he needs to be able to get better to become a more well-rounded player. Everybody kind of knows that. And that throw, to me, the way that he ripped it and Williams was in stride, kind of in traffic too, showed he's got some confidence in this. And he's not just looking off guys that are, maybe got a little bit tighter coverage than he would care for. But Williams gets past the 2 defenders in space and takes it to the house. I will say, if there was one thing that kind of bummed me out, it was that Milroe only got 9 passes in the opener. And I understand it's a blowout. Alabama was dominating that game pretty much from start to finish. But part of that was Alabama having these splash plays. It also helped that Bama's other possessions were either short fields because of TJ Finley turnovers. Of course they were. Or they were after Western Kentucky had a 21-play drive that ended without points. That's just the ultimate kick in the nuts. It really is. But yeah, we'll say it's a slight overreaction. Okay, let's end with one more here. How about Arch Manning is the Messiah? Slight overreaction with that one as well. Great to see Arch get in there. That's the thing that's going to be fun about and I'll admit, like Texas, Colorado State, like that game I wasn't as dialed in on early on just because I knew I wasn't going to be talking about it at length here. Knew that I was going to be going back probably midweek to look at some things before I talk about them against Michigan, the game of the week kind of in week 2. But seeing Arch be able to get into these games is going to be a lot more fun. It's going to be a lot more fun for Texas fans who, look, I think there have been times with viewers where you face a team like Colorado State and wondered, is this offense that good? Why is the slow start there? That was not the case at all. Ewers highlight reel day, went full Pat Mahomes with the no-look pass. I don't necessarily need that to become a trend. It's cool. Take it for what it is. Let's just kind of leave it there. Fun thing to be able to see on replay. Let's not make anything more of that than we need to. But seeing Arch come in and make the play that he did with his legs, where he makes this flip to the sideline. Again, I talked about that with Milroe last year. When a guy has the confidence to be able to flip the ball like that, and it's a different kind of flip, I guess, that Arch had. But when he has the confidence to be able to see the field like that, and he's not panicked, and he's has this I don't want to call it moxie. It's almost arrogance. That's really what it is. This arrogance to be able to make that play in that spot. To me, that's a really good early sign. Texas fans, I'm sure, felt great to see Arch out there having fun, being able to enjoy this and not talk about, oh, is he going to get into a game in week 11 or something like that and just hand the football off? You got to see him actually throw the football, and that's fun. And who knows, maybe Texas is going to need to turn to Arch at some point this year. But so far, looked the part. I praise the development that he had in spring. I thought year to year, you really saw a significant difference with him. Strip down the last name, all those other things. Obviously, he's got a lot left to determine with what his college career, his college legacy ends up looking like. But for a guy that came in, obviously, with you hear the crowd when he steps onto the field, man. Like I flipped on. I remember like I had something else on at that moment, but I was like, I want to make sure that I'm watching when it's very apparent that Arch is going into this game, and Texas fans were like they were giddy. I mean, not quite the level of that picture that surfaced from the Sugar Bowl last year, where yours is at the podium and it's empty and it's just the entire media contingency surrounding Arch. It wasn't quite that level, but nonetheless, there was excitement to be able to see him play, and he looked good so far. Don't think that he'll be getting those reps against Michigan. If he is getting those reps against Michigan, either a really good sign for Texas or a really bad sign for Texas. We'll have a lot more thoughts on that game, of course, with our midweek pod. We'll also have full thoughts on LSU USC when we record on Wednesday. Maybe you're listening to this after that game has already taken place. I'm not going to cold take myself. I refuse to do that. We're not going to do that for the season opener. Just know that I'm recording this at 10:55 on Sunday morning. Guys, that's a pod. That's a pod. Week 1 in the books. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got to watch a lot of football. Hopefully you weren't the fan slumped over, sleeping kind of on a high noon tall boy. Hopefully your day was better than it was for that Florida fan. If you haven't, leave us a 5-star review. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch every single episode of the Saturday Down South podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the SDS Pod, at Set Down South, at CJ O'Gara, at Go So Hard. Thanks, guys. Talk soon.